NASA has recently declared that the time has begun to concentrate more on Venus, following new discoveries regarding the possibility of life on the planet. If you review NASA's historical records from the 1960s, you will find that the agency once referred to Venus as a planet from Mars. On the other hand, Mars had gained more attention as a promising target for exploration. Such harsh descriptions of distant planets were not uncommon during the intense space race period, a time when the Soviet Union was also heavily involved in executing costly missions to Venus, a planet that appeared almost devoid of any potential for supporting life. Despite this, the Soviet space program maintained its Venera missions until the dissolution of the Soviet Empire. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has played a key role in helping us comprehend why they behaved this way. Captivated by Venus? Join us as we delve into the classified Venus images captured by the Soviet Union. The collapse of the Soviet Union was momentous for numerous reasons. Not only did it have an impact on the global political landscape, but it also concealed many secrets that made the Soviet Union famous for its secrecy, from operating one of the most sophisticated intelligence agencies in the world to keeping quiet about encounters with extraterrestrials. Consequently, the former superpower kept numerous secrets that were kept from the United States. The Soviet Union was conducting exploration at the forefront of the space race, whereas the USSR space program had both successes and failures. Its primary focus remained Venus, the mysterious and hostile planet. Venus, known as Venera in Russian, also became the name of the Soviet mission that lasted from 1961 to 1983. This occurred during the same period that the United States was focused on getting to the moon. Were the Soviets strategically deciding to focus their efforts on utilizing Venus's resources during the space race? It shouldn't come as much of a surprise that the Soviet Union invested so much in Venus. Did they think of the world as a potential site for a military base, or were they possibly exploring the idea of colonization after investigating the planet? For any signs of life? The exact reasons behind their intense focus on Venus remain unclear, as the Soviet Union was deeply engaged in the Cold War, and a lot of their goals were kept secret. In fact, much of what we know about their missions to Venus comes from declassified or archived documents. And even then, pinpointing the true motivations behind their relentless efforts is difficult. The Soviets didn't just land on Venus once, twice, or 3 times. 28 rockets were launched at once, targeting the entire world, with 13 successfully entering Venus's atmosphere. Of these, 8 missions managed to land successfully. These ambitious and complex missions positioned the Soviet Union as a leader in space exploration. While the United States was a close competitor, its focus was more on satellite technology and innovative infrastructure, whereas the Soviets were more committed to investigating the possibility of living on distant planets. Their obsession with Venus stemmed from their pursuit of scientific knowledge and technological supremacy. Most history books may not highlight this, but the Soviet space program was the first to send a probe into the atmosphere of a planet beyond Earth. It was also the first country to achieve a soft landing on another planet, and the first to send back images and sound recordings from another planet's surface. While these groundbreaking achievements are often overshadowed by later American accomplishments, they were pivotal milestones in space exploration. In 1992, the Soviet Space Agency was officially dissolved following the USSR's collapse and was later re-established under the new Russian name Roscosmos. Sadly, a lot of historical records were lost or destroyed during this transition, which is why several aspects of the Soviet space program remain shrouded in mystery. Although we may never fully understand why the Soviets launched so many spacecraft into Venus's atmosphere, it is likely their decision was influenced by cost-effectiveness rather than scientific zeal. During the Soviet Union's exploration of Venus, they were also searching for the presence of water, solar radiation, and other environmental conditions. Without these missions, it would have been difficult for scientists to gain insights into Venus's extreme temperatures and thick atmosphere. Today, Venus is still argued by many cosmologists to be too hostile to support life, with temperatures hot enough to melt lead and an atmosphere dense with carbon dioxide. It's easy to dismiss the possibility of life on Venus, but to overlook the pioneering efforts of the Soviet space program is to disregard an important chapter in history. For the Soviets, Venus was worth exploring, even if only as part of their broader goal to fuel the space race. Investigating planets like Mars was not entirely out of the question, but it was a much more costly endeavor than launching missions to Venus. The vast distance between Earth and other celestial bodies played a key role in determining where to focus resources. Venus, on average, is only 40 million kilometers away from Earth, whereas Mars is about 250 million kilometers away. This vast difference in distance is a major factor behind the high costs of Mars exploration. Additionally, the United States' global economic dominance made investigating Mars more feasible for them than for the Soviet Union. According to some reports, Soviet missions to Venus were unreliable and had to deal with a lot of technical problems. Many of their spacecraft were not designed to cover such large interplanetary distances, and there were several instances where communication was lost with the rockets. Given these obstacles, it makes sense that the Soviet space program would choose to focus on a nearer planet that offered a better chance of success. However, focusing only on the technical setbacks ignores the larger story of the Venera missions. When the Soviets began launching missions to Venus, the United States was still largely focused on reaching the Moon. NASA's Venus missions in the 1960s were plagued by failures, which led to the phenomenon known as the Venus curse. Every time NASA sent a probe in that direction, Venus was a failure. When it came to the Soviet Union, they spotted a chance to capitalize on America's struggles and achieve significant success in the space race. The Soviets accelerated their efforts to explore Venus, viewing the planet as a key milestone in the race to space. Despite their limited resources, the Soviets pressed on, launching a series of successful missions to Venus while the United States focused on the Moon. The hellish planet label was attached to Venus in popular media, often used by the United States to downplay the Soviet accomplishments. This negative portrayal of Venus did not deter the Soviet space program, however. Their goal was to demonstrate their superiority over the United States. Despite the Soviet Union's missions to Venus not being as widely acknowledged today, they were highly ambitious and advanced for their time. The Venera missions marked the beginning of the space age. Starting in the 1950s, the Soviets developed the technology needed to send spacecraft to Venus, which was built over the next 30 years, and launched a series of interplanetary probes as part of the Venera program. During this period, the Soviet Union optimized its resources, making significant advancements in space exploration. By the middle of the 1960s, the Soviet Union had made enough progress to launch Venera 3, the first artificial probe to enter Venus's atmosphere and make contact with the planet's surface. This achievement intensified the space race between the two superpowers. In contrast to the United States, which often struggled with its Venus missions, the Soviet program maintained steady progress despite a number of technical setbacks. The Soviet Union's ability to develop and launch more sophisticated rockets allowed them to continue making strides, even as NASA faced challenges with its Venus missions in the 1970s. The Soviets launched Venera 4 and Venera 5, two probes, in what is considered one of the most exciting decades spent exploring space. These dual launches enabled the Soviets to collect information from Venus's atmosphere. The success of Venera 4 resulted in the development of more sophisticated spacecraft, including Venera 5, which was designed to collect unique data about Venus's conditions. The 1970s marked the peak of the Soviet Union's Venera program. Venera 7, launched in 1970, was the first spacecraft to transmit data from another planet's surface, providing vital information about Venus's temperature and pressure. Later missions, such as Venera 13, captured color panoramic images of Venus's surface, offering unprecedented insights into its geology. Despite its shortcomings, the Venera missions were essential in advancing our understanding of Venus and space exploration as a whole. In the 1980s, Venera 13 went beyond previous missions in complexity, taking precise pictures of the planet's surface. By the time the Soviet Union ended operations in the early 1990s, the Venera program had achieved significantly more than anticipated. The Venera mission's legacy continues today as Roscosmos and NASA prepare for the joint Veritas Da Vinci (VD) mission, scheduled for the late 2020s or early 2030s. This new mission aims to investigate Venus's environment, geology, and history in the hopes of uncovering signs of past or present habitability. The Venera missions paved the way for future missions to Venus, Mars, and beyond, and their contributions continue to shape the future of space exploration. The forthcoming VD mission, a collaboration between Roscosmos and NASA, opens a brand new and exciting chapter in the ongoing exploration of Venus. Set to launch in the late 2020s or early 2030s, this mission will focus on researching the planet's atmosphere, geological history, and potential signs of habitability. The spacecraft will be equipped with a lander, an orbiter, and possibly an inflatable structure to explore Venus in unprecedented detail. The VD mission not only aims to enhance our knowledge of Venus, but also emphasizes the long-lasting legacy of the Soviet-era Venera program, one of the most ambitious and significant space exploration efforts ever undertaken. As we look to the future, the lessons learned from the Venera missions remain applicable to present and future planetary exploration efforts. The technological advancements achieved by the Soviet Union's space program, such as the creation of long-lasting materials capable of withstanding high temperatures and pressures, have been critical for subsequent missions to Venus, Mars, and other planets in our solar system. These innovations in spacecraft design and instrumentation laid the foundation for modern space exploration and continue to inform mission planning, technology development, and operational strategies. The impact of the Venera program goes beyond the scientific and technological realms. During the Cold War, the space race was not just about scientific achievement, but also a way to assert ideological superiority. The success of the Venera missions demonstrated the Soviet Union's technological capabilities and established a crucial milestone in its rivalry with the United States. The global community closely followed these significant achievements, recognizing the Venera missions as an important component of humanity's expanding understanding of the universe. Each success, such as Venera 7's soft landing on Venus in 1970, was not only a scientific achievement, but also a potent political statement. Despite the difficulties of operating in Venus's harsh environment, the Soviet Union's space program's persistence and ingenuity enabled them to triumph. Venus's hostile conditions, including extreme temperatures of up to 450 degrees Celsius, 842 degrees, extreme atmospheric pressure, and a thick, corrosive atmosphere composed mostly of sulfuric acid clouds, presented enormous obstacles. These factors made it incredibly difficult for spacecraft to survive long enough to collect meaningful data. Despite these challenges, the perseverance and ingenuity of Soviet scientists and engineers were key to overcoming these obstacles, allowing for the successful collection of critical data on Venus's surface and atmosphere. The accomplishments of the Venera missions were instrumental in deepening our understanding of Venus's inhospitable conditions, from its scorching surface temperatures to its toxic atmosphere rich in carbon dioxide. These missions provided invaluable insights into the planet's extreme climate and its geological features, including volcanic plains and mountainous terrain. The panoramic images captured by later missions, such as Venera 13 and Venera 14, furthered our understanding of Venus's surface composition, shedding light on its geological history and possible past volcanic activity. One of the most significant contributions of the Venera missions was their ability to capture the very first photographs of Venus's surface, offering a glimpse into a world previously obscured. These photographs revealed a rugged alien landscape vastly different from anything on Earth. The success of the Venera missions demonstrated that it was possible to gather meaningful scientific data from Venus, even in such a hostile environment, pushing the limits of human understanding and expanding our knowledge of the solar system. However, not all missions were successful. Some Soviet spacecraft failed to reach Venus or encountered technical malfunctions that prevented them from transmitting data back to Earth. The challenges of operating in such extreme conditions, coupled with the technological limitations of the time, meant that some missions did not achieve their goals. Despite these setbacks, the determination of the Soviet space program is a testament to the dedication and resilience of the scientists and engineers involved in the Venera program.